Hello, everybody, and welcome to our email marketing webinar of Mayple and the Mayple Experts community. We're super happy to see everyone here. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Post. The places that you are connected from. I myself is connected from Tel Aviv, and we have Josh here that you're connected from.
I'm in Norwich in the UK.
Amazing. Feel free. It's super interesting. It's super exciting to see where everyone is connected from. So feel free to kind of post it on the comments here and we'll share it. And until you do, it takes a little bit time for the comments to upload. I'll just say again, thank you for connecting with us on this webinar. We're running weekly webinars with our amazing experts community, over 1,000 experts, all that were vetted and are the best in each industry. So you came to hear from the best of the best, the people that actually doing hands-on work and doing it amazingly for brands out there, not only talking well, but actually working well. And this is who we are. So I'm going to hand everything over to Josh. Today we're going to talk about email segmentation, right, Josh?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's yes, it'll be exciting, I promise.
Okay, amazing. Well, good luck.
Thank you very much. And yeah, just to echo that, welcome everybody from wherever you are in the world, and thank you again very much for joining. I hope that there's something in here for everybody, something that you'll be able to take away, and something useful for us all to learn. And obviously, if you have any questions, we'll have a questions and answer session at the end. So if there's anything particular that I haven't covered that you'd like to go over, then we can do that. So without further ado, I think let's get cracking. So my name's Josh. I'm one of the Mayple email experts, and as mentioned, we are a highly vetted team of people who, without tooting my own horn, we know what we're talking about, and I feel like I can say that comfortably because I have been thoroughly vetted by Mayple. It was a rigorous process of getting to this point, so you can guarantee that if you are working with a Mayple expert, you are getting expertise in your email marketing. So let's have a quick intro as to what we're going to cover specifically in this webinar. So we're going to basically break it down into 4 key sections. We're going to look at what email segmentation actually is. You've probably heard it mentioned. You might already be doing a bit of segmentation. It might be something that you can see in your email platform, MailChimp, Klaviyo, .digital, but don't really know too much about. We're going to look at why it's important, why it's worth bothering and spending the time doing. We're going to look at something called the 4 pillars of segmentation, which will, excuse me, just pulled out my charger lead, which will hopefully help you have an idea of how to build your segments. And then we're going to look at some must-have segments that I think that every e-commerce platform, every e-commerce brand should have. Some examples of how you might then use those segments in your campaigns. And then also some tools that I use to help me build segments and get really intelligent with the data. So we'll kick off straight away with what segmentation is. So the key thing here is the difference and the differentiation between segmentation and personalization. So I think the key point here is that segmentation allows for personalization. By segmenting your mailing list, what you're doing is splitting your mailing list into smaller chunks, and those chunks are created on a set of criteria which are logical for your business and your brand. So you'll look at the data that you can gather from your e-commerce platform, from your email platform, and potentially from some other tools that you might have, some other analytics tools. You'll pull all that together, and then you will create sets of subscribers within your mailing list using that data. It's more than just a name and a subject line. So this is more than just saying, instead of saying, here's some offers for you, making it, John, here's some offers for you. It's a lot more than that. It's, we're going to look a lot deeper at how we can use these segments to really personalize and target the email campaigns that we're sending. Essentially, it's about sending the right message to the right people and also at the right time. So one thing that you might take from putting some more time and effort into your email segmentation is that you don't necessarily need to send every campaign to everyone in your mailing list. You might realize that there are some segments that need more warming up, and so you send them more. Others don't need as much. You might only need to send them once a week as opposed to twice or three times. You want to think about the data, what you have available to you, and that could be coming from your e-commerce platform, from your ESP, or as I mentioned, from other analytics sources that you might have, which could be Google or other CDPs, customer data platforms that you might have integrated with your site. And then I'd say it's worth considering the 4 pillars of segmentation, which we'll cover later on in the webinar, which just give you a good idea of some key themes around how you might build those segments. So that's what segmentation is. Let's take a look at why it's important. So one begets the other on this. So better campaign performance. As I mentioned, this is about sending the right message to the right people at the right time. And as a result, your campaigns will perform better. You'll get higher open rates, you'll get higher click rates, and you'll hopefully then also, as a result, get higher placed order rates and conversions. That will in turn improve your deliverability, because that improved engagement is going to make sure that you're ending up in the inbox, not in the promotions tab, not in the spam folder. The fact that people are opening and engaging with those emails because they feel that there is a connection there, you're getting them, you're understanding them, you're targeting the message to them specifically, it's going to improve your deliverability no end. That will then hopefully in turn improve your profitability, because you're sending promotions where needed. So, if we built a segment of our VIP customers, our best top customers in terms of average order value, number of orders, lifetime value, we don't need to be sending them 20% off coupon codes, because we already know that they're going to continue buying with us. So we're going to improve our profitability by only spending money where it's needed, which will therefore improve your return on investment. And ultimately, it's also going to improve your customer's experience, because you're going to be sending the right message at the right time to the right people. And I'll keep coming back to that, because essentially that's what segmentation is all about. So the 4 pillars, this is a really useful kind of diagram, which gives you an idea of ways in which you could think about segmenting your mailing list. So you've got 4 key pillars, which is geographics, demographics, physiographics, and behavioral. The one that is going to be the most useful and probably the most used is going to be your behavioral segments, but the others will also come into play. So for example, your geographics is looking at where your subscribers and your customers are. That could be handy, because if you are an e-commerce platform that works across multiple territories, it's going to be segmenting your mailing list. So you have a UK, a US, an EU, and an Australian segment, which means that you're going to send each segment the email and the product recommendations in their home currency. Because if I was in France and someone sent me an email that was in pound sterling, I'm going to think it's going to turn me off, because I'm going to want to see it in euros. And that goes across the board. Equally, if you're an e-commerce brand, or you're a brand that has bricks and mortar stores, you can also use location to send targeted messages to customers and subscribers where your stores are. So if you've got stores in New York, Los Angeles, and Washington, DC, then you're going to want to make sure that subscribers that are in those areas are getting news and events related to where your stores are. Demographics can be useful for things like, and you might see on your email platforms that you have the ability to segment by gender. Often this is guesswork by your ESP, and it's using kind of cookie and third-party data to try and put that together. Though there are ways that you can use first-party data to actually gather that information. But for stuff like Valentine's Day and Christmas, it could be useful to segment your campaigns based on kind of gifts for him, gifts for her, and that kind of thing. Physiographics is a little bit more meta. And to be honest, the way that you're going to get the data to be able to segment by physiographical criteria is by asking your subscribers that information about themselves. We'll come on to that later in the webinar. And the key one, the one that we're going to talk about the most and probably use the most, is your behavioral segmentation. And this is going to be where we're taking the data we have, because data is king, and we're going to use that data from our Shopify store, our BigCommerce store, about the number of purchases that customers have made, that their lifetime value, their average order value, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to put that into our ESP, and we're going to build segments based on how customers engage with our store, how they spend with us, how they engage with our emails, whether they open, whether they click, whether they're always opening or clicking or actually only do so very rarely. It's the data about their behavior that that's going to be really useful to us when we're marketing to them. So this will just give you an idea of the 4 pillars that we can use to start to build those segments. So here's some must-have segments that I think that every e-commerce brand needs to think about putting together and having. There's many more than this, and the possibilities are endless. And of course, it all depends on the data you have available and the tools that you have available to you, and also what you're trying to achieve. But generally, as a rule of thumb, I would say that these are the segments that you definitely need to have. So first is your prospects. So these are people who are subscribed to your mailing list, but haven't yet made a purchase. So they've been on your website, they've been interested enough to actually sign up to the mailing list, possibly because they want to hear about offers, possibly because you've got a welcome deal, subscribe and we'll give you 20% off. But they haven't then gone through and made a purchase. So these are warm leads. We know that they're interested in your brand. They just haven't committed yet. So these are people that are really worth spending some time on. Those are our prospects. One-time customers are people who have subscribed to the mailing list and made a purchase and then never purchased again. So these are the people that we now want to convert again, so that we can really get some value for money and some ROI on these guys. And we can work with them and we can think about what they've bought before, how much they spent with us, how long it's been since that first purchase, and start to use that data to build some campaigns that will really, hopefully, get them excited. 30-day engaged are people who have opened and or clicked an email that we've sent them within the last 30 days. So we know that these are people that are interested in what we're telling them. They want to read our emails. They want to then click through and get onto the website. So these people are engaged. They're interested, but they haven't necessarily committed to the purchase yet. So again, we can start to think about ways that we might be able to coax them in, promotions, messaging that we can send them to say, look, we know you're interested. What can we do to get you over the line? As I mentioned earlier, you've got your VIPs, and we can do this based on average order value, lifetime value, the number of times they've spent with us. I've put a little criteria here, but this is going to depend very much on your brand and how you work and how you operate. So you need to think about what you would consider someone and what they would need to have done to be a VIP customer. But it's absolutely worth putting together a segment of customers who are really, really into you and what you do. They're spending good money. They're spending regularly. We want to treat them really well. And then bestseller buyers. So if you're a brand that has a particular flagship product, a best-selling product, this is your landing page product that you're bringing everyone into, and they've only bought that, we then need to treat them in a certain way to get them to buy other products. We need to think about what we can recommend them, what peripheries, what else could go with that product that they bought. So we're going to treat those slightly differently to the rest of the mailing list because they've subscribed, they've bought a product, the best-selling, our flagship product, and now we want to keep them as repeat customers. So these would be the 5 must-have segments that I think that every e-commerce brand needs. And it's been mentioned in the chat as well from the guys from Mayple. So if I'm going too fast, don't worry, you'll be able to watch this webinar back on our Mayple YouTube channel. So now we know what those segments are, let's have a think about how we might use them. So your prospects, these guys need warming up. We need to convince them why to purchase from us. We need to remind them of the welcome offer if you have one. So, for example, if you're offering 20% off discount code for signing up to the mailing list, every email you send, every campaign you send, do a prospect segment that just goes to the prospects and remind them of that 20% off, because that's a discount that you've already offered. They haven't yet taken advantage of it. It's a good offer. Just remind them, because actually when payday comes, that might be appealing to them, and it might be what we need to push them over the line without you having to offer any more money up to them. Your one-time customers, use what they purchased to convince them to purchase again. So remind them of your USPs, free shipping, no quibble returns, lifetime guarantees, those kind of things, the reasons that someone would want to purchase from your brand. Make product recommendations based on their first order. Depending on what ESP you use, you might be able to do this within your email platform. It might be able to pull that data in from your e-commerce platform and make those recommendations itself. There's also a whole host of other apps out there that you can work with that you'd sync up with your e-commerce platform and your email platform that can work to make those kind of recommendations for you, and do that based on what they ordered first time round. For your 30 days engaged, this is the closest thing you're going to get to an evergreen list. These are the guys that you know you can rely on to be looking at what you're sending them. You just need a gentle push to convince them to come over the line. So you might need to send them a voucher code. You might need to send them some free shipping, offer them a value added. So I went to the Klaviyo conference in London a couple of months back, and there was a guy called Rory Sutherland from a massive multinational, really successful advertising firm. And he actually said that, generally speaking, for brands and for customers, it works so much better for everyone involved for you to actually give them something free rather than give them something off. So you might have seen, for example, being a Brit, you're going to appreciate why we appreciate this. The example he used was a tea bag brand, and it was get 50% extra free. And this particular brand of tea tried both, 15% off and 50% extra free. And people like getting free stuff. And generally speaking, it will often work out better for your margins to offer something for free and give something extra on top rather than giving money off. So, and no Brit's ever going to turn down free tea. I can absolutely assure you of that. So you might just need a little gentle push just to get those 30-day engaged over the line. Your VIPs, you want to keep these guys really sweet because they are fantastic customers that you've got already, and we want to keep them coming back. So give them early access to things. We don't need to give them money off. We know that they're going to carry on spending with us, and they probably will do so at full price. They're not going to be looking for sale or discount codes. So if you're launching new products, make sure that you give them early access before anyone else. If you're producing behind the scenes content, meet the team, Q&As, give them all that extra content that makes them feel a part of the brand, like they're really appreciated. We want you to feel part of who we are. Give that to your VIPs and don't give it to anyone else because they need to feel really special, so you keep them on side. And then similarly to your one-time customers, your bestseller buyers, those people that have bought your flagship product and then nothing else since, again, give them recommendations, but give them recommendations based on that flagship product. Talk about the brand, how the way that you do things. If you love that, you'll love this. Convince them that everything else you do is just as great as that particular flagship product that they bought. So there's just a few ideas of how we can first set up some segments, and then how we can then use those segments in practice and the kind of campaigns that we could be sending to them. And this is the kind of thing that if you were to work with a Mayple expert, if you wanted to get one of us guys working on your email marketing for you, This is the kind of thing that we would be doing as standard practice. So we'd be coming in, we'd be having a look at your account, we'd look at your email platform, look at your e-commerce platform, build those segments, work out the data that we've got and how best we can use it, build the segments, and then build a content calendar and an email strategy around those segments and around how we can use those segments to really drive conversions for you guys. That's second nature to us. That's what we do. And that's the kind of added value you get from working with a Mayple expert. So some real life examples. This is a luxury hairbrush brand that I work with based here in the UK, that they also sell in the US and worldwide on Amazon. So the segments we used for this particular campaign were a lapsed and a non-lapsed segment. So we created a segment of customers who hadn't purchased in the last 270 days. We then created two versions of that campaign. And this was a campaign highlighting their shower power duo. So they have a hairbrush which you can use in the shower while your hair is wet, which I understand is quite a game changer for those of you with long hair, I'm told. And they also have a beachy waves comb, which is a really thick, wide toothed comb, which is really good if you've got wavy hair and you want to keep the waves, but you also want to, pull a comb through your hair. They sell that as a duo. They call it that shower power duo, and we were pushing that composite product, basically that bundle. So we sent two versions of that campaign, one to the lapsed and one to the non-lapsed customer. And then we also A/B tested both of those campaigns. So the A/B testing, the lapsed segment got that was split. We split that with a 20% off offer versus a free pocket comb. And this comes back to what I was saying about giving money off versus giving something free. So we tested which one of those offers worked best for the lapsed segment to get those people back to order with us again after all that time. Funnily enough, it was actually the free pocket comb. So Rory was right, free tea. And then for the non-lapsed customers, those who got those in that segment, we split that campaign based on free shipping versus no offer at all. And again, obviously the free shipping won, but it was a test we wanted to see whether free shipping made a difference. The aim of this campaign and the segmentation here was to target the different segments with offers that would be most effective to them. So we were basically saying, having a think about what offers would be most enticing to those two different segments, but also give the best ROI for us. We don't want to be giving away money for free if we don't have to be. And that's why we then also A/B tested. So we sent those A/B tests to 50% of the segment. The best performing at the end of the test time then went out to the other 50%. So we weren't wasting kind of opportunities on the least performing version of that A/B test. And then we tailored the copy in each version of the email. So for example, for those in the lapse segment, we tailored the copy to say, it's been a while since you've purchased from us. We hope you're still really enjoying your brush. Maybe it's time to, look at expanding, your collection from us. So that's a real life version. That's a real life example there. Another one, just quickly. This is a luxury homewares brand that I work with. And this was the US version that we did. We have exactly the same segments for the UK. So this is both using behavioral segments and geographical segments. So both customers and prospects in the UK and in the US. So we've got the customers versus prospects here. So people who have purchased versus those who haven't. And this was launching the new lacquered tissue boxes that these guys sell. And then we also A/B tested these campaigns. And we were testing send date and time there to see which day of the week and time worked best for them. For the prospect segment, as I mentioned earlier, we reminded them that they've still got their 20% welcome code. So we've already offered this to them. They've had this for a while. We're not offering them anything new or giving them more money off. We're not stacking them with voucher codes that they can spend over the next few months. This is something we've already given them, and we're just reminding them that it's there, which might be what they need. And And obviously the customers didn't get that. They just got the standard version, which was, this is our new product. We hope you really like it. And it would make a real nice fit to your collection of our products already. So some idea on some tools to help you. There's one particular tool that I use a lot. And it's a customer data platform and an analytics platform called Suite Analytics. You can find them at suiteanalytics.com. Basically, you integrate it with your entire marketing stack, really. You'd integrate it with your email platform, with your e-commerce platform, and it will give with your Google Analytics and loads of other tools and apps that you'd integrate it with. And it's like Google Analytics on speed. It will give you incredible amounts of data and really awesome insights into how your customers interact with your brand, sales trends, product data. And one particular tool which is fantastic, which I use all the time, is their audience builder. So they have over 150 different metrics that you can pull from to create segments, essentially. 150 different metrics across behavior, location, product type, and products. You can pull all those together, create a segment, and then you export that into your ESP so that it will then work out who is subscribed, who meets these criteria, and it will put them all together. So you can have some really, really powerful segments built with the Suite Analytics Audience Builder that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do from just your email platform alone. And it's a really fantastic tool that I use daily for building segments for my clients. And again, one thing that you're going to get from Mayple experts is that we have this experience, we know these tools, and we know them inside and out. So to save you having to get to know all of these different tools and data and get your head around how to use them, with a Mayple expert, we already know what we're doing. So we can come straight in, we can get all these things set up for you, and we can get you kicked off and running straight away. So these guys, Suite Analytics, this is an example. So this is how the dashboard works. This is how it looks, the audience builder. So I just typed in value over here. I was trying to set up an example kind of VIP segment. So I've pulled through anyone who meets the criteria of having over 2 orders or has a lifetime value of 3,000 of the currency of the store. So what this will do is this actually pulls through data for all of your customers. So whether they're subscribed to your mailing list or not, doesn't matter within Suite. So you can have an idea and you can build those segments of your customers, even if they're not subscribed to your mailing list. When you then export that to your email platform, it will then just pull through those that are actively subscribed. So there's no worries about data protection concerns there. So that's an idea of how that works. And it can do that dynamically. So it can sync that data daily, and every night it will look and run through that list, see who meets that criteria, and put them into that segment. You can get a 1-month free trial with these guys. So if you're interested, have a look into Suite Analytics because it's a really useful tool. And then I have a few top tips as well, more generally and more broadly. And again, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to get from a Mayple email expert. These are the kind of tips and tricks that we can bring to the table, looking beyond segmentation here. So one thing that I would say to everybody who is looking to improve their email marketing is A/B test every single campaign you send. Never stop testing. Some of the best and most successful brands who have the most high-performing email campaigns will test everything. And that's because equally your audience will always be changing and the world around you will always be changing. So, you might do a really good campaign of 6 months of testing loads of different variables and really nail the email marketing for that 6 months, but then a global economic crisis happens and everything changes, and then all that data you had and all that testing you did completely out the window and you need to start again. So test everything. Obviously only ever test one variable at a time. So don't send out a campaign and test the subject line, the send time, and the copy, because you're not going to know which attributed to the win. So just test one thing at a time, But when you're building your content calendar and you're planning out what email campaigns you're going to be sending, work out what you can do to build testing into all of those campaigns. Listen to your audience. We've come back, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but a lot of email platforms now offer the ability to do surveys. So MailChimp has got a survey segment, a survey functionality within it. Equally, you can do it with reviews. So if you use something like reviews.io or FIFO or Trustpilot, and obviously anyone on Klaviyo's just launched their reviews platform as well, which you can then also use to gather data from your audience. If you're getting that, this is the best way to get that data. And this is what can help you get that kind of physiological data from your audience, finding out more about them and who they are, because you're asking them directly to tell you about them. And you can then use that data, pull it into your ESP, and build segments from it accordingly. Absolutely track your performance. So it's all well and good having a kind of wash-up meeting at the end of every month saying, yeah, we had on average a sort of 30% open rate and a 1.5% click-through rate. But you want to be tracking the performance of every campaign you send, whether that's just downloading the reports from your ESP or whether that's keeping a spreadsheet yourself. You want to be cataloging making use of all of the data that you can get from your campaign performance, and then learning from that, using that data to then build and help you build your strategy, your email marketing strategy going forward. Of course, segment your campaigns. We wouldn't be here doing this webinar right now if I wasn't going to use this as a top tip. You don't have to send everyone the same email at the same time. So, if you've got unengaged segments, people that aren't necessarily opening that many campaigns or clicking through, don't bother sending to them 3 times a week. You're just going to annoy them and then you're going to lose them. Send them 1 campaign a week, maybe even 2 a month, but really make that a hard-hitting campaign where you perhaps mention some of the best-selling products that month, your latest product launches, maybe even put in an offer. Don't then offer that offer to everybody else. You only need to put, if you're going to give your unengaged segment a 20% discount code, you don't need to offer that to everybody. You just need to offer it to that segment to convince them to come in and make a purchase. Your one-time customers at that same time in that same campaign, give them 10% off. And then for your regular customers who keep purchasing twice or more, don't offer them anything. They're already proved that they're a repeat customer. We don't need to be chucking money away for the sake of it. So use your segments to really target your campaigns, target your promotions, and send the right message to the right time, at the right time to the right person. And then one other thing is automations. The holy grail in business, of course, is being able to make money when you sleep. Automations will allow you to do that. Building automated journeys and automated flows will give you the ability to spend some time setting up a clever, intelligent automation and then just leave it. Just let it run. You want to keep on top of it every few months. Make sure that the content is fresh, that you're recommending, popular products, that you're keeping the imagery fresh and seasonal. But generally speaking, you can build those automations and just leave them to run for a few months without thinking about them and just watch the money come in. And that goes for things like your abandoned basket flow, your browse abandon, post-purchase flows, prospect welcome flows. So make use of the functionality that your email platform has to build automated flows. And use it to its full potential. Most of them will have kind of templates that you can use to get started, so you don't have to start from scratch. Equally, if you want to and you want to build something really clever, do that. And that can be, again, where you can start to pull through, if you're asking your customers and your subscribers when they sign up, ask them for their birthday. And then you can build a birthday flow, which will be triggered on those dates to send them happy birthday, here's 20% off to spend in the next week. And then you can really personalize it. Again, it's making that customer feel special. And you're not having to sit there every day and send out a birthday campaign. It will just automatically run through and do it for you. So those are my top tips for maximizing your performance on top of segmentation. And those are really the key points. That's the crux of the webinar, and building segmentation into your email marketing strategy. So I would love to now open up to any questions that you guys have. I'm not. How do we go about doing that, guys? I think you guys can just ask questions in the chat, but Rakafin, if you want to come back in. Hey. Oh, you're on mute. Those fateful words.
Oh.
There you go.
So first, wow, thank you for that. I was focused on everything that you said there, and super helpful. So great value. Thank you. Anyone that has any question can feel free to post it here in the comments. So where you saw me and Ben posting comments over and over again, it's yours, right? So feel free. Now is the time to get more value from Josh, and I'm sure he has a ton more to share. So feel free to ask any question here in the comments. It takes kind of a few seconds until everything loads. So
yeah, you and Ben are my greatest cheerleaders there. So thanks so much for that. That's a real nice confidence boost.
Well, there is a good reason to do that. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're all here for each other. That's what we're doing this for. So
I have a question until we get more questions from everyone who's here participating. What would be too small of a segment? Where you would say, hey, I mean, if you have a segment with 100 contacts, don't go this route.
So that's tricky because quite often, if you're building a VIP segment, which I would definitely recommend you have, they can sometimes be quite small, depending on what you consider a VIP. And obviously, you probably want that segment to be quite small because these are going to be people that are going to be your big spenders, people that are really loyal to the brand. They've made multiple repeat purchases. They're spending good money with you. So that you would expect to be a small segment. Again, it's quite difficult because everyone's mailing list is going to be different. I've worked with brands that have got 5,000 on their mailing list versus some that have got in the hundreds of thousands. And I think the key thing there is that realistically, you can't really segment too small because what you're doing is you're taking the data, you're understanding these customers, and you're sending them targeted messaging. If you've got the time and the resource to be able to do that, if there's only 5 people that are in your your repeat customers segment, they're still repeat customers and they still should be treated and targeted differently to everybody else on the mailing list. Again, if you're struggling with the resource to be able to do that, that's where Mayple could be really useful because you could offload all of that burden to us and we could help do that for you. But I would say there probably isn't such thing as too small a segment because the point is you're targeting your messaging to hopefully get some really good performance and results.
Yep. Okay, thanks. I'm going to start putting those questions on the screen so everyone will see, and you too, Josh.
Industry-wide practices for qualifying good open rate engagement. Great question, Zach. Thank you very much. So I'll be quite open and frank here. I often use for benchmarks Klaviyo and Klaviyo's benchmarks because they are, quite a giant in the ESP world. And what I like about the benchmarks that they provide, and you can access these both if you are a Klaviyo user, they will build the benchmarks into your dashboard and into your reporting, but they also make a lot of it available on their website. If you just type in Klaviyo benchmarks, they give all that data to you. MailChimp does have some benchmarks. If you Google MailChimp benchmarks, you'll find it, but it's quite limited in what metrics they give you. And it's also not updated. It's just a static post that they wrote a few years ago. So I would say equally, it's not across the board. It's also segmented. That data is segmented by industry, by verticals, by what sector you're in. So it'll give you an idea that, if you're a food brand versus a fashion brand versus a homewares brand, your engagement rates are going to be different. And it will give you a good idea using data from their customers who will self-tag themselves as a homeware brand. They then collate that data and say, okay, well, from what we can see, these are what we expect at the moment to be the kind of benchmarks. Any tips on newsletters? So broadly speaking, again, I think you could, if you're an e-commerce brand, I think you could equally use some of these segments in your newsletters, because if you wanted to sneak in some kind of product recommendations, you could use the data in your segments in the newsletter. Equally, if you're a bricks and mortar shop or a brand that has bricks and mortar stores, you could use location data to then tailor the newsletter to, and this could also be territory. So if you're a brand that works across the UK, the US, the EU, Australia, the Middle East, you could tailor, the news articles, the content that you're sending, depending on the region that the email is going out to. And I think that's the other thing, is that obviously the question from Rakefet was, can a segment be too small? It also doesn't necessarily can't be too big, in that, you could have a segment that is all of your US subscribers versus all of your UK subscribers, because for that instance, that's what you need and that's what's useful. Do you treat everybody the same regards to your relationship with them, or less personal? I'm trying to work out what you're trying to ask here, but I think this depends a lot on your brand, and this is going to be led by your brand and your tone of voice. So, the example that I gave of the luxury homeware brand, the tone of voice that we use for them, the best I can liken it to is kind of British Airways, and that it's like we say hello instead of good morning, but equally it's somewhat professional. It's slightly stiff upper lip, but it's not too kind of stuffy and formal. It's accessible. But the point I'm making here is that I think that's led by your brand and how your brand likes to talk to people. And if it's down to, if the point you're trying to make is scaring people by the data, because that's also something that I've come across, is at the end of the day, not scaring people away. And one of the main things that can sometimes scare people is the browse abandon flow. A lot of people expect to get an abandoned basket. You've actually clicked on something, you put it in your basket, you might have even started to go through the checkout and you put your email address in. If you've just looked on a product and then closed your browser, and somehow then they've got your email address from somewhere and they've said to you, we caught you looking, that can freak people out. That is becoming a generational thing. Younger generations are starting to understand and have a much better grip on the fact that everything we do, Google, Meta, etc., are watching and know what we're doing, and cookies are everywhere, and we just happily say accept because, at the end of the day, actually, 9 times out of 10, it works in our favor. If you are a brand that works with and is targeted towards younger audiences, you quite easily be able to get away with acknowledging the fact that you know what they're doing, you know this data about them. You might want to be slightly more sensitive with audiences that are slightly older, because they are still coming round to that kind of idea that I go on the internet and someone somewhere knows what I'm doing and can then tell me things about myself. So I hope that answers your question. If I've got that entirely wrong, I apologize. Craziest segmentation experience I've ever had. I'm going to be really boring. I don't think I've had one. I think everything's been pretty standard. And perhaps that's because I just do it so often that segmentation is just, second nature to me and what I do. I'm trying to think if there is anything particularly unusual. There's a couple of lingerie brands that I work with, and of course, when you're then segmenting by cup size, that's an interesting one, I must say, especially being a gentleman. So yeah, that was an interesting experience. Yeah, maybe I say that's it. I would say that's probably the one. Thanks for coming over. Doesn't mean sales. Okay, so I think this is similar to what Paul's asked, so kind of B2B. So I would say you guys want to be segmenting. So you can use data about when people signed up to your mailing list. You can use location data. Again, depending on what you do, send a survey out, or in your sign-up form, ask some questions of your audience that could be useful to you and that could really help you to kind of build some segments and be more on the nose with what they are. So don't be afraid to ask people questions when they're signing up. More often than not, you'll probably notice when you're doing kind of with Instagram and Facebook ads at the minute for particular brands. You click through the ad and then you'll go through like a survey. You'll go through like kind of almost an onboarding process on like a type form or something. And I'm giving them loads and loads of information and loads of preferences, because at the end, I know that it's going to hopefully personalize their recommendation for me. But I know deep down that all they're doing is just finding out more about me and what I like and what I'm into, so that they can then market to me real hard and real good. And they say that salespeople are the best people to sell to. I think that includes marketers. I'm up for it. I love it. I love what you're doing. I'm going to probably steal everything because I think it's such an awesome idea. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions of your prospects when they're signing up, and get some information that you would find useful. Again, location data, demographic data if you can get it. And B2B audiences would be stuff like where they're at in the sales pipeline. So, if you're using a CRM, you could use data from the different lead sources, different stages of the pipeline, and you could use that kind of data to build your segments. Equally, you could do it by like vertical or what sector they work in, the relationship they have to your company, that kind of thing. So I think that hopefully potentially kills two birds with one stone. I think I hopefully covered that one, the B2B audiences. What's the law now? Do customers need to double opt in now? We're in. Okay, so the majority of my work is in the UK, where we, while we were still in the European Union, were subjected to the GDPR laws. When we then left the European Union, the UK government copy and pasted that, and now we have GDPR UK. So I am used to, and it's second nature for me, to be double opting in everybody, making sure there's permission reminders at the bottom of every footer, making sure that it's really easy for people to unsubscribe. Though there's a trick there in, obviously, with your preferences center. It takes a little bit of extra work, and it's a kind of segmentation, but allow people to opt down rather than opt out. So if you know that generally you send three types of email, we send newsletters, we send new product launches, and we send sales promotions. Give people those three options and say, these are the emails that we send. Which ones do you want? Because actually, a subscriber might be like, I don't care about your company news. I don't care about whose birthday it is. I just want you to let me know when you've got a sale on. They can then unsubscribe from those other two types of email, but you can still hit them with your sales emails, and then you've not lost them. They've just, given their preferences. I appreciate that's a bit of a tangent. The point I'm trying to make is, regardless of where you are in the world, I would always double opt in. Always, always, always. Because it will just give you better subscribers. Because they've done, they've gone through two touch points to get on your mailing list. They're obviously really keen. They're going to give you better performance. You're going to get better deliverability. Whether you have to do it by law or not, I would always recommend doing it. How do you set up your updates to you? So a lot of ESPs will have built some clever kind of AI algorithmic stuff in the background to try and counter the iOS 15 updates. The easiest, simplest way to get around that is to go by clicks. Click rate is the new open rate. Ignore your open rates. Open rates are great, and generally speaking, they can give you a good idea of how your emails have performed. But go from your click rate, because at the end of the day, yes, someone might have opened your email and read it, but if they haven't clicked on it, you're no closer to getting a purchase off them or a conversion off them. So build your engaged segments based on clicks, whether they've clicked an email, when was the last time they clicked rather than open. I think that's the end. I think that's all of the questions.
Looks like it. Any other questions? Even if you post it now and just won't have enough time to answer, we will try to answer after the event. So feel free to, if something pops up, just post it here in the comments. Anything else to before we wrap up, Josh?
No, I don't think so. I obviously would just mention the fact that you did a fantastic segue there about the free versus off advice with the $250 of free credit you get at Mayple. So take a look at that, because that's a fantastic offer to work with. And I'm not necessarily saying you have to work with me, but there are thousands of guys, 1,000 email experts at Mayple. We all have been thoroughly vetted and know what we're doing. And we would love to work with you and really help you build your email marketing strategy and get some real good performance out of your campaigns. So
thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a fast learner with the free versus off.
Yeah, that was great. That was awesome.
Great to implement it. And yeah, and for everyone, obviously Josh is an amazing expert and person to work with on your email marketing, or other experts that can help you with anything that has to do with any marketing gap you right now you have, especially before Q4 and before the holiday season starts. It's a great timing to get started, to build everything out during September. So in October, you'll be able to already boost it with your campaigns. So it's a great timing to get started. Yes, you do have the 250 free credit in Mayple. You can use it with this coupon code, the Mayple Boost 250. And if you want to get started today, this link will bring you to, as Josh mentioned before, kind of a form asking you a few questions. You'll have a calendar to schedule a meeting with the team. You'll get a consultation for your marketing for free. And once you decide, you'll be able to move forward with an expert according to what you need. So this is what you can expect with those. Josh, thank you so much. It was insightful and super helpful. And I guess, it is the right timing to start segmenting your audience if you haven't so far. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have everyone here today, and looking forward to seeing everyone here in our next webinars. We have a weekly webinars with our community of experts and we're really getting the best of the best to come and share their experiences with you. Looking forward to seeing you in our next one as well. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Have a great day.